Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. Again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We're into the final segment of Overdrive. We're going to be joined by some of our team members in just a moment from the Alternate Current Radio Network as well. And before the break, we were covering the Pope, the funeral at the Vatican in Rome, the political circus that ensued, also the situation in Syria getting more crazy and ridiculous by the moment. And again, we wanted to also turn your attention to a couple of other stories. Obviously, we have the situation in Ukraine, which is brewing as well, and doesn't seem to be going anywhere. There's a lot of activity, but doesn't seem to be going anywhere. It doesn't look like Donald Trump's going to be able to land his plane on this, I think, because they're still in la-la land. They think that somehow they can negotiate security guarantees with Russia while being a co-belligerent in the conflict. It's like you're gonna have to come clean, guys. You're gonna have to come clean, and that's that. So anyway, I wanted to talk about. Hopefully, we'll get as well a Bryan McClain, aka Hesher, in because I wanted to talk about the band Kneecap from Northern Ireland and this huge controversy at Coachella as well. We've got some information on that we wanted to share with everybody as well, because that seems to be making some waves in the music and entertainment industry, along with some other stories as well. Let me bring up on stage right now Adam Clark, aka Ruckus, is joining us on the live link. Ruckus, how are you, mate?
Hello, good evening, I suppose, for the UK listeners, and good afternoon for everybody else. I'm happy to be here, regardless of what time it is. I knew that there was a time change, so I reminded everybody on my Xhand Twitter account today to set the calendars back by 1 month for leap year, or whatever it is you're supposed to do, I forget. But yeah, regardless, again, happy to be here with my nice new haircut, as you may notice as well. How about that?
So what's Ruckus Vision looking at this week? Ruckus, I mean, I wanted to cover the Kneecap issue, but I'll wait to see if Hesher can join us for that. But what do you...
that's just the department for sure. Well, no Kneecap coverage on my program coming up, but I will be exploring some more predictions about what's headed our way come the future. Last one was more technocracy oriented. This next deep dive involves some science and technology things, including, not to give too much away, but lab created meats is coming up pretty soon in our near future. We got still the cyber polygon thing looming over our shoulders that everybody forgot about. They promised us with pandemic, and they gave us one with COVID-19, and those same people promised us a cyber polygon, and we haven't had one yet, so we got to keep an eye out for that. Also, they keep teasing us or threatening us, regardless of how you look at it, I suppose, with quantum computing. So these are just a few of the topics I'm going to explore on my program, The Daily Ruckus, in the very near future.
Yes, quantum computing and all the sort of joys coming with AI, brute force hacking attacks. There's a lot of spam is being automated by AI. If you noticed, X is becoming unusable. And with Elon's short attention span, he seems to have lost interest in X. So it's going to get destroyed by spam, basically, if he doesn't do something.
And he's stepping back as in a leading role, apparently, allegedly, from what I hear on the news feeds anyway, from the Doge thing. So that'll free him up some more time to either start going back to playing his own video games, which I doubt, or he can focus on the next big thing, which is another topic that I'm going to cover on my program, the BCIs, those good old brain chip interfaces, which are going to be so hot coming up. That might be the hottest Christmas item this year, Patrick. People will be standing out in lines like they do for the iPhones, so they can get their Neuralink chip implanted in their brain by a scary robot arm. How fun.
What does it do for you? Like, what benefits does it give you?
You can control your computer with your mind.
Okay,
wow.
Really? So you can play video games without a joystick?
Yeah, Isn't that all you need? Isn't that enough? I mean, yeah, who knows what they're going to sell it as? I'm guessing, though, just going on a limb here based on current history and the way things go. I know history doesn't always repeat, but it oftentimes rhymes. Maybe the presentation and the mass acceptance of the brain-chip interfaces will be in response to some sort of emergency or problem that they need to solve. Yeah? Am I onto something, do you think?
Well, yeah, that's true. There's plenty of potential problems there, but Neuralink just kind of reminds me of that sort of matrix. You know, that's a cable that goes into the back of Neo's neck, the big plug in the film. You know, getting jacked into the matrix, as it were. That's what that sort of reminds me of. So, like Elon, what is this bit about Elon being like a conservative or whatever? He's a transhumanist, basically. Isn't that what he is? You know,
Yeah, I mean, his
he's talking about.
grandfather famously like ran a company called Technocracy Inc. So he was all about technocracy, and with him coming out and saying that he wants to merge with technology, merging with machines. I mean, I don't know. Do I need to check a dictionary or Wikipedia? Isn't that the definition of transhumanism? He doesn't, outwardly express himself to be such, but clearly he is. I mean, brain chip interfaces with computers. Come on now.
Well, this sort of thing, Ruckus here. I mean, Neuralink. How far off is Neuralink from this? I mean, this is
Well,
like.
Neuralink is a much more miniaturized version of that, and wireless. So that's kind of convenient.
Yeah. So jacked in basically to the Matrix. Thank you, Elon. Elon's bringing us that brave new world. He's bringing us that brave new dystopian world that everybody is afraid of. Hollywood's been scaring the bejesus out of everybody with. Yeah, Musk, the conservative, the working class hero, the richest man in the world. Who knew that they could be the working class, regular guy, transhumanist, pro carbon tax, fake electric car, Green New Deal, Klaus Schwab's basically protege, Elon Musk. But I think we've got Hesher, Bryan McClain. We'll bring him up on stage as well. There he is. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I see you've got new digs.
Yes, we're all set up for a very fancy Sunday wire here. Someone important died, I guess. So, Ruckus went all out for today's graphic.
Yeah, the Vatican. Yeah, I did a little bit of Vatican coverage in the first hour. And so, but we're going to go to listeners' comments in a bit because we're getting some interesting comments coming in on some of our streams, YouTube and Rumble especially, but and also at 21st Century Wire. But Hesher, there's a band at Coachella, sorry, the big festival in California, Northern Irish, technically British, but obviously Irish, identify with the Republican. Kneecap. Did you manage to catch that?
Yeah, that was really interesting. One of the things that I do for sort of relaxation, I guess, considering most of the stuff that we look at is not exactly relaxing, is I spend time in the rock and metal blogs, just trying to keep up with what's going on. And I'm always interested in the big festivals, the spring and summer festivals here in the United States and in Europe and stuff. And I've attended Coachella before, along with 72,000 other people. So I check in on Coachella every now and again, pretty much annually, and really not very impressed by the lineups for the last 15 years. To be quite frank, I could find a lot of bands that I would love to see in the lineups, but never an entire Coachella lineup that's been, pretty much all good in 15 years or so. I'm blown away by how many bands I've never heard of that are super popular. But I wasn't familiar with Kneecap before I saw them happen, and this all hit my radar because of Ozzy's wife, Sharon Osbourne, in her whatever her aesthetic she has going on right now, her very Ozempic
You-
face.
that is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's where it all started for me. I saw Sharon Osbourne's commentary, looking great. Sharon, that Ozempic is fantastic. Goodness
I
gracious.
think it's more than that. There's a bit of like she basically got uh the not so good option. Couldn't get Mickey Rourke's plastic surgeon and managed to get LaToya Jackson's instead. So that's basically it's like a cross between like LaToya and Laura Loomer, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
anyway, so why Sharon Osbourne? What's she ever done for the world aside from being married to Ozzy? She's given us Pop Idol, which has been a travesty for the music industry, right?
Yeah.
And so she doesn't like Kneecap. She's saying they're promoting terrorism.
Right.
I mean, what's going on here?
She was a stalwart on The View, every conservative's favorite punching bag. Also, she was in The View for a while there, and Sharon. I'll give Sharon Osbourne some credit. She gave us a functional Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne would have never been functional without Sharon as his manager, and for heavy metal and rock people, that's a crown she will always bear, and nobody can take from her, at least in my book. But she should not be out there doing politics. She has proven herself to be geopolitically illiterate and or a political Zionist, and happy to speak about it now. And I think that's a huge mistake. That's a stain on the end of Ozzy's career. Ozzy's about to have his last show in Birmingham. It's called Back to the Beginning, and it's being set up and promoted by what's his face, Tom from Rage Against the Machine, Rage for the Machine, I guess they're called these days. Looks like a fantastic show. I want to go. It's in Birmingham. If anyone has tickets and they want to donate to Ruckus and Pat and I, we want to go. It's an amazing lineup: Slayer, Pantera, Metallica, Ozzy, and Black Sabbath with Bill Ward on drums. I mean, absolutely an amazing feat of live music, and something that caps off decades of Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. Sorry, I'm just gushing about that. I want to go to the show, but Sharon put a big stain, and it's his last show. It'll be his last live performance ever, and it looks like it's going to be a blast. It's in Birmingham. I hear Birmingham's a little dingy these days, a little harsh. Not necessarily a place I would find myself unarmed, but if I got to go there, I'd have to be unarmed, I suppose, because it's the UK. But
It's cool. Birmingham's cool.
Okay,
cool.
all right.
Yeah, it's a big reggae town actually.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's got a rock metal scene. It's a very working class industrial heartland of Britain, but it's also that's kind of the heart of the reggae. UB40s from there, and all these
All
other
right.
reggaeton and all these other sort of they're all from Birmingham basically.
Well,
Really good.
Sharon came. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I can't help myself. Sharon came out and she said that that Kneecap was, like you said, supporting Hamas, pro-terrorism, disregarding October 7. She went through all of the Douglas Murray talking points as best as she could on a long social media post, and I was just like, oh boy, you really stepped in it now, Sharon. And then of course, you look in the comments and she's being ratioed, and even with the comments being regulated and a lot of stuff deleted, she wants to see them disallowed from being here. She wants their visas revoked. She's, just can't understand why Coachella would have them. And to me, that was one of the only interesting bands at Coachella, so I kind of enjoyed watching the blow up here, watching, the amount of fans there that were actually accepting the message, and supporting the message. So, she really made herself look pretty bad to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, look, it's kind of Irish hip hop. There's other sort of influences in there as well, but and there's a sort of British rock commentator. I'm going to bring him up on screen actually. Stephen White, I think his name is. He's got a show. Here's the story from the Belfast Telegraph here, and Kneecap's basically defending themselves, and then basically they went hard, as you guys. Controversial group. There's a Hollywood Reporter here, no surprise. Controversial group Kneecap parts ways with booking agency, putting work visas in question. So the lobby, the Israeli lobby, know exactly where to go. They know what buttons to push to shut down. So what happened was unbelievable. As soon as this thing went, these guys got on stage. We'll show you some of the clips. We can't do it with the music or whatever, there's all these copyright issues, but we'll show you other people commenting on it, you guys. But all of their gigs sold out in 24 hours right across the US. They added dates, sold out. And all the European dates sold out. All of a sudden, these guys just blew up, and they're keep booking more and more shows in Europe and so forth. Sold out immediately. So these guys will be so huge in the summer. What does that tell you about where the fans are, where the youth are? And here they are basically saying their tour dates are still viable because they're going to get basically a new agent, and they may even sue their other agent. So this is interesting. They're going to try to cancel these guys, and here's their official statement. Since our statements this is Kneecap official. Since our statements at Coachella exposing the ongoing genocide against the Palestinian people, we have faced a coordinated smear campaign, says the Irish hip hop group Kneecap. For over a year, we have used our shows to call for the British and Irish governments call out their complicity in war crimes. The recent attack against us, largely emanated from the U.S., are based on deliberate distortions and falsehoods. We are taking action against several of these. They're talking about libel cases now, defamation cases. Maybe they should call the Anti-Defamation League for help on defamation, maybe. That would be funny. The reason Kneecap is being targeted is simple. We are telling the truth, and our audience is growing. Those attacking us want to silence criticism of a mass slaughter. They weaponize false accusations of, quote, anti-Semitism to distract, confuse, and provide cover for a genocide. Wow. These guys are not taking prisoners. And they continue. We do not give a flying FUCK what religion anyone practices. We know there are massive numbers of Jewish people outraged by this genocide, just as we are. What we care about is that the governments of the countries we perform in are enabling some of the most horrific crimes of our lifetimes, and we will not stay silent. No media spin will change this. Only our concern is this Palestinian people, the 20,000 murdered children and counting, says Kneecap. And finally, the young people at our gigs see through the lies. They stand on the side of humanity and justice, and that gives us great hope. Kneecap. Wow. So that's like, this is kind of like what we're hoping for artists doing, right? I mean, isn't this what art, music, rock and roll is supposed to do? Hint, Sharon,
Sharon may have just made them very popular. I mean, it sounds like they're gonna just ride this, because I didn't know who they were, until this happened, and then it was just like, oh, cool, okay, I might be down to go to a Kneecap show. I'll have to check out their music a little bit more, but I mean, the message is spot on, and they're getting more gigs than ever now. They're getting big gig offers, so that says a lot.
You know what's crazy about this? They weren't even on the main stage. They're on the number 3 stage, like one of the big tents. So like they really have shot themselves. The establishment have done an own goal massively. They took these guys that were, second tier marginal support act, probably pretty good in their genre, no doubt. And they just basically made them blow up because they went after them. I mean, this is what they call that, the Streisand effect. I don't know. Is that what that is?
That makes sense.
I mean, so people never cease to amaze me how stupid the establishment continues to be, like forever. So here's some comment on this, and this is from I think a British or an Irish, an Irish commentator here, Stephen White actually, who's got a podcast. Not that big podcast, but very well produced. So we'll listen to what he has to say. I think he's like spot on this. And again, Sharon, Osborne, you might want to sort of listen to people like this, maybe. But here's Stephen White.
But first, artists are here to disturb the peace. They have to disturb the peace. Otherwise, chaos. Not my words, but the words of James Baldwin. Why, dear listener, and indeed, dear viewer, am I quoting American writer and activist James Baldwin at the top of this week's show? Well, this week, I thought we'd delve into Kneecap and their performance at Coachella 2025. Indeed, this is a story about protest, a rap group from Belfast, a genocide in Gaza, and what happens when you speak truth on a stage built to avoid discomfort. Kneecap didn't just perform at Coachella, they interrupted it. During their second set at the festival, the backdrop behind them flashed images that no sponsor or PR team would have approved. Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people. It is being enabled by the US government, who armed and fund Israel despite their war crimes. Fuck Israel, free Palestine. On stage, they led the crowd in chants of free, free Palestine. It was raw, it was loud, and it was absolutely deliberate. Let's get this out of the way early. These statements weren't about demonizing people or their religion. They are aimed at governments, at state violence, at genocide, at collectivized punishment. It's protest, not hate. And protest music was never supposed to be polite. Coachella is a controlled environment. Vibes are curated, rebellion is styled. So when an artist shatters that reality, you see how fragile the illusion really is. The backlash came thick and fast, online and offline. Some called it dangerous, others called it anti-Semitic, despite the wording specifically being aimed at state and military institutions. But now it's gone even further. Counter-terrorism police in the UK have been called in to investigate Kneecap. Let that land. In a world where this performance happened on stage in another country as a sign of protest, it is now being treated as a threat to national security and terrorism itself, despite the myriad of videos and evidence online about what is happening in Gaza right now. Because in 2025, saying free Palestine with your chest out on stage as part of a performance in a country where free speech is supposed to be enshrined in their constitution can get you marked as an extremist. And
wow, there's a lot to take on there, guys. But I mean, yeah, that's one of the best commentaries I've seen on this from Stephen White. He's got a really cool podcast channel on YouTube. So yeah, do subscribe to his channel, The Last Mixed Tape. He seems like a pretty cool guy, but I can't, you know, he's spot on. I mean, these are all things that we talk about every week, right? But it's kind of like now the mainstream. Did you see they're in a fairly small tent? Like maybe there was like, you know, maybe 4,000 people max in that tent. It's not huge. So this wasn't like main stage act. But now these guys are going to headline it at major festivals because people are going to demand it because they've spoken truth to power. It's simple. It's just like it's an open door. All you have to do is just give it a push. It's always open, right? For artists. It's always open, but so few people are willing to give it a push, right? Incredible.
Yeah. Talk about the right place at the right time, you know, with the right adversaries, because you end up with, you know, Sharon did him such a favor here. It's like, you know, they didn't pick her as an adversary. She picked them as an adversary. And all she's done is elevated them to the, you know, to the stratosphere, basically, you know. And I'm as soon as I started reading Sharon's scathing analysis of their performance, I just started hearing Ozzy singing War Pigs in my head and just thinking, wow, you know, your husband is the one that wrote the lyrics to War Pigs, possibly the greatest, at least in the heavy music zone, the greatest anti-war song ever, perhaps, you know, without me dragging you down rabbit holes of thrash metal. You don't need to hear me talking about Law's Rocket from 1987 or something like that. But War Pigs, I mean, that is the anti-war, anti-genocide, you know, corruption, anti-military industrial complex, you know, pro-human message from the band that brought us heavy metal in the first place, the band that invented it. So again, she's just tone deaf, completely idiotic, out of touch, geopolitically illiterate, heartless, unchristian. I could go on and on and on, and all she's done is thrown fuel on the small spark that they had when they walked into Coachella, and they're walking out of there ablaze with interest.
Yeah, and you left out the fact that she looks like she just got hit by a bus.
Yeah,
we won't
like
go there.
Like a bug stuck on the windshield or something.
Don't celebrities and singers who are of the left persuasion do this all the time against, like the right's narrative consistently without fail? And now all of a sudden it's a big deal. I mean, this overreaction by all of the pro-Israel groups, the lobbyists, the Zionists and whatnot, it's really, like, as we keep pointing out here, it's not helping their cause at all. It's making it worse. It's building up like an army of thoughts and ideas against them of people who normally wouldn't think about. I mean, in fact, Hesher, we know somebody in real life who confessed to us just recently that they had never really thought that way, but now, like, based on it's like you can only react this way for so long before people start to question, why are you acting this way? It seems like a bit much, don't you think? This overreaction, and these people can't be that stupid. They can't possibly not know that this is going to happen. So I suspect some of it's done on purpose. I think they really want to create this mass division and this amount of tension. And this is an ultimately perfect way to do it, unfortunately built upon, like most of these other things, off the backs of the suffering of a group of people. The Black Lives Matter did just the exact same thing, except they kind of blew a lot of things out of proportion. But here we are witnessing a massacre in real time, the murdering of 20,000 plus children, as Kneecap pointed out, who I heard they named themselves that because apparently, allegedly, they're fans of Tonya Harding. What, too soon? Sorry. Anyways, they may not be aggressive statements, but they look aggressive sounding. But what if some of this is on purpose, Patrick?
That was a Winter Olympics joke Ruckus just made for anybody that didn't get that one. You have to be
Kerrigan, Tonya Harding. Yeah, all right.
To be above a certain age. That was when we had terrestrial TV networks, and that's where I remember. Yeah, that would have been
like antennas. I remember the antennas.
Tonya Harding was an ice skater who was famously living in a trailer park, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody kneecapped did she have somebody kneecapped, like another
Nancy Kerrigan, her
Was,
competition,
the receiving end. Yeah, the sort of thing the mafia do or used to do. Yeah. So she got to ice skaters kneecap, or Olympic kneecap as they call it. Befalls tragic injury. Ruckus, I think that I said Russia. I was like
Ruckus.
Freudian slip. Ruckus. Yeah, Ruckus, the thing about these guys is they're from Northern Ireland, okay? And they're from West Belfast. So obviously there is a natural split there's counties in Northern Ireland that are Catholic and pro-Irish Republican to the hilt. But there was a peace agreement. And this peace agreement was go along to get along. We're going to stop the civil war. And the border is going to stay where it's going to stay. And maybe there'll be a reunification of Ireland at some point in the future, but we're going to have peace. This is the sort of thing you'd expect the British government, having pulled this off in Northern Ireland, to want to tell the Israelis, we need to do a peace deal. We'll sort the border out later, but the war is going to be over. Like Britain and the U.S. and the EU, who brokered that deal in Northern Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement and so forth, they have experience like shutting down dealing with former terrorist groups, integrating them into politics. It's so hypocritical of them. So that's why these guys are so important, because they're like the living embodiment of this type of a conflict, and their next generation too. They very well may see a united Ireland, these kids, in their lifetime. That referendum could happen in the next 15 years. So they will be in their prime as adults. But that's why this is Ruckus. That's why this one is so spot on. And Sharon Osbourne, being British, and should have figured that one out. but she didn't. So it's the ignorance. Maybe she's been in LA too long and she forgot about her history.
She's getting on with it in her age. It happens to the best of us. Poor Ozzy's not looking so hot either. But what I saw, that picture that you were flashing from that story, I kept looking closer. I was like, is that her or is that Michael Jackson? I'm so confused. She doesn't look so healthy.
They all look the same, Ruckus, because they all have the same doctor in LA. And that's just unfortunately the deal. Yeah. So let's see. What are our Rupert Fellows? The Protestants ate all the potatoes. Very bad form. We will be bidding that one, but we have a lot of things coming out in the wash here with the listeners here. I was told they were punk style, so never listen. You're talking about Kneecap here. What else have we got? So yeah, so everyone's kind of having a go at Sharon Osbourne. So Tanya Harding. So look at this, Ruckus. There you are. Kurt Lazarus from from Tropic Thunder is saying, I had a crush on Tanya Harding. She was always innocent to me, still is. That sort of love never dies, folks. You know,
leave Tanya alone. I mean, you know, she had a manipulative boyfriend or husband that was largely behind that incident anyway. So, you know, there is an argument to be made there, Albo.
And just to tell you guys, like we we don't solicit any of these comments from our listeners. They just have these comments, and we're just like cherry picking some of them and looking at them. So again, what I'm going to put on screen right now, again, it's nothing to do with us. So full disclosure, this is from White Adder. Wink, wink. It's a pastiche on Blackadder. Ozzy must have been on a bender when he pulled Sharon. That was the old Sharon. Okay, that was like he probably pulled her 50 years ago. All right.
And she was a firecracker back then too.
She's probably a hot little number back then, but not anymore, of course. But
if that's the White Adder, I think it is. I'd like to point out that his name is based on a river, not what you suggested.
Oh, it's a snake, isn't it? The Blackadder. It's a very common. There's a few snakes that are found in England, aside from the politicians in Westminster, but like actual in the wild. One of them is the Blackadder. And because it's very cold and wet here, a lot of times when spring and summer comes, the Blackadders will go out in the middle of trails and just basically sunbathe. So they love the little sun they get in England. The Blackadders just go and sunbathe. So you will see them, and you may step on one, and they can be quite vicious. So
are they venomous?
We have to look that one up. Ask Grok and find out how dangerous they are. But yeah, so let me see. Here we go. War Pigs. Hesher, you've triggered some conversations here. Just a Maverick says the Main Squeeze does the best War Pigs cover live from the Red Rocks. Worth a listen. So I guess this is the Main Squeeze. Must be a band.
Nice. I'll check that out. I love performances from Red Rocks. I was just recently watching Devin Townsend and Gojira at Red Rocks, and I was so jealous. I wish I could have been there. That place looks amazing.
Yep, here we are. Oh God, why did Adam bring up Tanya Harding? I can't stop giggling. They're just blowing up in the chat with that Tanya Harding, Ruckus. You've really hit a doozy there. Sharon, oh my gosh, Sharon Osbourne's getting a licking in the comment threads.
Yeah.
Here, oh gosh, there's all sorts of stuff here. I can't.
This is a bit of a flashback going on all around here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we go. This is Mickelwis 55. In my experience, about 99.9% of the music industry, including artists, are ignorant of Zionism and its crimes. Maybe ignorant, yes, and also completely forbidden to discuss them. Otherwise, they don't have a career. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, it's sort of like one of those things you can't talk about. So yeah,
it's rare, and as a musician, you gotta really think about that. It's like what Kneecap did is truly something that changes the trajectory and the opportunities of your band. So if you're really a political band and you're going to go to that level, they deserve a certain amount of respect, regardless of your side on it, because you got to realize that this is a community. Basically, I hate that word, it sounds communitarian, but when it comes to live performing artists, there is a internal community of producers, promoters, relationships with other bands, the ability to be on certain touring bills. You lose a lot of that. And Kneecap, they're gonna experience a lot of things that we've experienced. They're gonna experience a lot of the the character assassination, the shadow banning, all those kind of tactics, being put on the hate watch, and all that fun stuff that goes along with being against political Zionism. They're there now, and we're at a new point in this topic. So I've seen a lot of bands decide. I think there are a lot of bands out there that know what's going on, and like you said, Pat, like, they're not willing to blow up their relationships with promoters and managers and other bands that may think differently, that they might be on bills with, because once that happens, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. You're never going to tour with Disturbed. Oh darn, but that guy from Disturbed is Disturbed. He sounds like Sharon Osbourne when he talks about this topic, and he's an Israeli guy. So that's just one example of many things that you're going to be excluded from. But I mean, the audience that they're going for wouldn't be at those shows anyways. You know what I mean? So they're kind of like already they pushed the boat out at this point.
So we got some conflicting opinions on swiping right or left on Sharon Osbourne here. This is from the industry comment. Walk On Army. What a craggy old bag. So I mean,
some bands know what's up. See,
yeah, Walk On Army. I mean, shout out to Walk On Army. They've been featured a lot here on Sunday Wire. Big shout out to you, Walk On Army, and everything you do. We really appreciate you. And I'm sorry if I'm behind on replying to any emails. I'm in kind of low power impulse mode here, buddy. But we really appreciate you and the bands that will go out there and do this. It makes me think of High on Fire. I love High on Fire, and their frontman has been out about his opinions on Zionism for many, many, many years. So and he seems to do okay. He's still getting tours and stuff like that. So there is there seems to be a path to success now, and I think other bands are starting to realize that hey, we don't have to be quiet about this anymore. All you got to do is log into X and see, tens of thousands of people saying similar things right now, looking at bands they wouldn't look at, like Kneecap or like High on Fire or like Walk On Army.
Dude, Kneecap just sold out at a gig, I think 40,000 tickets.
Oh my gosh.
It just went poof in like 4 hours. Like it was a big festival main stage or something like that. I mean, that kind of people, if you want to blow up, this is how you do it. So I'm just telling you. Conflicting reports, though. Walk On Army. This is the Justin Maverick. Sharon in her youth was seriously hot. That's Justin Maverick there. And of course, here Vera saying, in my opinion, she was never hot. Oof, a little bit of a cat fight going on there with Vera here. Yeah, but here we go. We got our National Geographic expert weighing in here, Kurt Lazarus again from Tropic Thunder. Black adders are the only venomous snakes in the UK. So there you go. Aside from Sharon Osbourne. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Ruckus, you gotta, I don't know, you just gotta weigh in there. Yeah, we got interesting. Yeah, there's a few other comments going on here. Well, we got a lot of wow. Here's Monopod saying one of the his farm dogs, I guess, nearly died from a bite from a black adder. The venom, I guess, is somewhat lethal. But
wow. Yeah.
This is again here, Disturbed Voices was a song I really liked. I don't know if I can listen to it again. You talking about Ozzy?
No, the band Disturbed. I can't remember their singer's name right now, but he's been very, very pro-Israel since October 7. He always has been, but he's been pretty outspoken, so it's caused a bit of a stir. He's one of those people that wants to change your mind.
The other guy that's gotten a lot of heat is Radiohead.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So here's a Palestinian Amanda saying here, the Radiohead singer Tom Thumb or whatever his name is, he blocked us in 2014 when we asked him not to perform in Israel, and apparently he went off on stage. Did he walk off stage?
He did. He threw his toys out and walked off stage because he was getting shouted out.
That's bad. A little bit of Jay Dyer territory here from a U.S. Navy vet. It is a fact that most of the rock and roll groups were creations of naval intelligence. Jim Morrison's father was the head of naval intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard is also a graduate of naval intelligence. Gonna have to fact check that. Morrison's dad was a rear admiral in the U.S. Navy. That's a fact. So is John McCain's dad. Interesting. And they served at the same time.
Zappa's dad was in that crew too.
Yep. Laurel Canyon. So there's the Tulsi Naval Intelligence. I'm not sure. I don't know about Tulsi. I have to look that one up. But
what about Anthony Blinken? Because he liked to play guitar. I don't know what that means. I'm just
he's connected with Samuel Pizarro. That's his father-in-law, Blinken's father-in-law, and Samuel was the lawyer of Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, the Israeli Mossad super spy and owner of like 10 newspapers in the UK and US. So yes, Anthony Blinken, very well connected in there. So here we go. Another one here. U.S. Naval Intelligence had a big part in the creation of these rock bands to destroy the morality of America and across Europe, basically around the world. One could make that argument. And CIA also had a hand in some of these types of things, like introducing LSD, I think in the 60s, making it go mainstream.
Yeah, many suppose that the Laurel Canyon explosion, if you will, of artists was a part of the MK Ultra program, and its initial goal was to introduce a lot of LSD into the youth population and see what kind of mind control they could come up with. And I guess after a couple of years of it being widely introduced, all they came up with was, well, we can just do some general cultural engineering here, bring the conversation down to peace, love, and free sex, while we make war and degeneracy normal.
Yeah, while we're drafting U.S. boys, average age 19, to go run around in the jungle and get shot to bits, end up committing suicide after they come back to the States after one or two tours. Yeah, that was good. It was a good time. Apparently. Rupert Fellows, Sharon Osbourne is doing some great promotional work for Kneecap. This is
Yep.
true. She is working for Kneecap pro bono. I mean, this is again, they owe a lot to her. I mean, she's totally put them in another income bracket. I can tell you that right now. So yeah. Okay, now we got some pushback on our Sharon Osbourne comments here, and I want to set the record straight, because we let's be real, guys. Let's be real. Put this one up here, and again, I respect all the comments. This one says, "This is so stupid. Sharon is an older woman. You discredit yourself by commenting on her looks. What a disappointment you are. Really stupid commentary." Well, we are actually commenting mainly on her plastic surgery. Okay. Just generally, Hollywood has an issue with this. And let's just say it goes wrong 99.9% of the time. Okay. It's a train wreck. Do we want to start and go down the list? I'll put Michael Jackson in that category too, another travesty under the knife in Hollywood. But he's not the worst by far. But the point is, we're speaking truth to power, and that power is represented by this woman. Okay, she is the power structure, basically trying to kneecap the dissenting comment from this band that's trying to save lives. Okay, that's the reality. So again, if Sharon Osbourne or any of these people are going to come and basically attack and try to destroy an independent artist who is trying to use their platform to save lives, then that's the man. Okay, they're taking on the man. They're taking on the bankers. They're taking on governments. They're taking on the military-industrial complex. And Sharon Osbourne is looking extremely ugly by trying to destroy them, these kids. Okay, that's the point. That's the story, unfortunately. So, the fact that, they botched her nip and tuck is by and the by, but we're just saying the irony of that is that these people will still attract attention publicly by trying to destroy independent artists that step out of line. So they're going to invite criticism on every conceivable level when they do that. So I don't know if I can make myself any more clear than that. So it's like we try to only punch up, okay? And music industry executives that are trying to control speech, that's punching up if we're taking a dig at them, okay? If it was going after the artist who is Sharon Osbourne's punching down, okay? Not for long, of course. She's helping to elevate them through
She
these
has a
strikes
long
at-
history of that too. She has fired people like Jakey Lee and others from Ozzy's band, and then gone so far as to re-record classic albums that he was on and re-release those and scrap all the original recordings so that he can't get paid for his artistic contribution to the band. He's one of several people that's happened to in Ozzy's band. So, just like even before all of this came out, I've always had, I think of her as a shrewd businesswoman, and in some ways I respect that, but in other ways I feel like she's predated on artists, so that out of spite in some cases. And I just think that's a ghoulish thing to do. And if she's going to hold shrewd, business-minded, ghoulish activities in the music industry, that's one thing. I've commented on that for many years. But if she's going to hold ghoulish pro-war, philosophies and worldviews, and then try to spread that, via her platform, well, I agree with the commenter. It was mean, and I'm sorry about that. But I can't help the fact that she has a ghoulish worldview and she appears ghoulish, and I pointed out. So, I'm sorry, not sorry, sort of, I guess.
Look, these are people who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They can afford to pay somebody to basically work on their face and their butt and their everything, and it's a disaster most of the time. And I think that's fair game to. I mean, working class, normal people can't afford that, but smart people wouldn't go for it anyway, even if they had the money, I would think. Okay. But there's a problem with the narcissism of Hollywood and the entertainment industry, and this kind of forever youthful kind of delusion that you can fix everything through surgery. Okay, I can kind of see almost with the actors, because it's like they can't get to work. The women have to have the wrinkles removed, the facelifts, so that they can earn another, because they literally can't be on camera. But when you're an executive, I don't understand. I think it's a pathology, a social pathology at that upper echelon, and it should be fair game. I mean, look at poor Michael Jackson. I mean, it just went way too far for him. It's almost like he was the work he did to his physical self was somehow part of some kind of a psychological thing to repair wounds, deep emotional life wounds or something like that from his childhood. There's some psychiatric evaluation one could make on that. I look at it as a tragedy. But Michael Jackson didn't come out and sort of try to destroy artists for having an opinion. He actually did quite a lot of quiet protest himself within the lyrics of some of his songs and some of the causes that he supported and stuff like that. Seemed like a decent guy, as far as I could see.
shortly before he was murdered by his doctor, he came out against Sony Records, you know, and he basically he named and shamed some of the execs at Sony, if you will, who all had a very particular origin and political philosophy of their own. I think we would call it political Zionism. Go figure. So he called them out and was unalived almost immediately after that, shortly thereafter. So, you know, and also he had his character assassinated over multiple years. As soon as he started, you know, the rumblings of, hey, you guys are predating on me. You guys are predating on my fans. You know, you're stealing from me. You're stealing from them. You know, you're running racketeering and blackmail operations. I mean, I don't know if he actually said those words, but it was definitely implied. You know, and look how that ended up for him.
Do you know who else attached themselves to Michael Jackson before he died? We'll bring it on screen. Again, this is a 18 and over warning. This is going to be a horrific picture. We're going to put it on screen, but we think, yes, this is a family show. We like to cater to all age groups, but what I'm going to show you is for adults only, okay? Because I know it's going to disturb people. So I'm just giving you fair warning, everybody, okay? We're going to put this image up. So this creature attached itself to Michael Jackson. Here it is. Shmuley Botish. There with Douglas Murray, one of his number one fan, apparently. So Rabbi Shmuley attached himself to Michael Jackson. Can you believe it? Like, what was that all about? That's the question. So there's a lot of unanswered questions right there. I see this person as a bad actor all the way around. There he is with Douglas Murray at the at Netanyahu's speech at the United Nations. So again, we missed that event. It looked like it was a barrel of laughs. But yeah, Shmuley was like Velcro on Michael Jackson. Could not get him off.
And for the record, Shmuley is a very attractive man. Clearly a handsome fella there. Yeah,
extremely handsome. Yes, yeah. He is the kosher sex toy. Yeah, literally has a business to selling kosher sex toys. Believe it or not, I think it's mail order, online business. But yeah, very very respectable line of work. Obviously, in addition to, you know, being on Piers Morgan every 3 days, he sells sex toys with his daughter, which is even weirder. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So, okay, yeah, I had a couple of other comments. There's some quite heady political, like this one here. I'll bring this back here. John Roach. I would love to know how Kneecap's thoughts are on the current situation in Ireland. It's got the Gaelic spelling there, E-I-R-E. With the politicians seemingly puppets of the globalists. So United Ireland or not, the problem is the corrupt politicians. True, not going to argue with that. However, I will say, I'll get your guys' comments on this because this is getting into deep globalist politics, is that we know the Irish government is woke as anything and absolute nightmare during COVID, nightmare on immigration, nightmare on vaccines, okay, nightmare on the trans stuff, all of that. However, they got one issue correct, which was Palestine and Gaza. So, like, I'm all for whatever. I'm not going to get the whole bevy of issues, but I support what I think is a high priority issue. I'm very happy to see Ireland stick their neck out amidst threats from Israeli politicians. So that's the mafia, the global mafia threatening you, Ireland, a little country of 3.5 million people on the fringe of Europe, taking a stand on this issue. So yeah, they might be globalist, and that kind of goes hand in hand with being in the EU these days, unfortunately. So I don't know if you guys have any comment on that one.
John Roach is correct in his statement / question there at the end. The problem is corrupt politicians, and that's just true all across the board, all across the planet currently. I mean, technically that's the problem with Israel. Otherwise, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the country, its people and whatnot, but they've got a whole host of some of the most corrupt politics going on that I think I've ever witnessed, unfortunately. But yeah, yeah. What can you do? Sure, to be united is one thing, but there's always that elephant in the room, the one word that we can't say or suggest the ultimate solution to problems, which this particular country where I'm broadcasting from did approximately almost 250 years ago. And that's, I mean, if there's going to be an actual real change and things are that bad, it takes the R word, and I'm not even going to say it. So, but there we go.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I think this has a lot to do with why the conversation is now what it is with regards to Israel. It was complete. We've been talking about this for a decade, and 15 years more. I don't even know. And these conversations just, were sort of something happening in dark corners. Talk about punching down. We got punched from an upward direction for years for covering this topic, and now I think what's going on is they're using all their new software and AI to complete their lists of friends, enemies, and frenemies right now about this topic. Because for some reason, the algorithms aren't stopping the majority of people from talking about this. They still seem to be clamped down on people that have been talking about it for a very long time, but they're not able to clamp down on the wider public right now. And I think that might be by design. I think it's so that they can use what X has been turned into to sort of, I don't want to say honeypot, but in a sense, catalog at least the dissenting voices, and that those dissenting voices are now, we're in a situation now where there are bands like Kneecap who have been elevated because of the conversation. So where does it ultimately end once everybody's political philosophy and geopolitical ideas are completely mapped into everybody's Palantir record? I think of all people across the planet now as not just my brothers and sisters, but also a record in a Palantir database. And when you're a record in a Palantir database, we all are, unless you're like a Ted Kaczynski sort of character or something like that, living off the grid, that's part of your profile now. So when the AI fully kicks in and things are regulated by AI instead of people, all that information about your political worldview, your view on war, your view on political Zionism, whatever, your view on peace, I don't know, maybe your hobby of underwater basket weaving. It's all in there in your Palantir records, and the government has those. Corporations have those. Security agencies have those. Police have those. Depending, everybody's access is limited depending on who they are, what they're tasked with, and how much they pay for their particular Palantir interface. So, I think this is a lot about data collection.
But it is. You're right, Hesher. I mean, obviously, we're all over the place already, which is, and you just have to shout louder. But the Grok has turned against Elon, and Israel just complained that Chat GPT is anti-Semitic. And it's basically called him a settler colonial state. So they've lost control of the AI in terms of the narrative, and they're freaking out. So what we're doing is training the AI, basically. That's like what we've been doing for 10 or 15 years, some of us longer, 20 years. But like that's all that we've been producing content, developing the conversation. We'll bring Basil Valentine, I think, is checked in the green room. We'll bring him up as well. And here's a comment by Haji. I can't believe I'm hearing so much praise for Kneecap. They're taking the King's Pound up. That's probably an American making that comment, doesn't understand the politics of Northern Ireland. You have mixed politics there. There's a peace agreement, everything's cool, but you kind of have to use the King's Pound if you're in Northern Ireland, whether you're Republican or not. So again, so that's another thing. Let me bring Basil on. He might have something to say here. Mr. Valentine, welcome to the program. Basil Valentine,
good evening,
political editor at the Pulse today, joining us right now. Basil, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Patrick. Good to see you all, and hello to our viewers and listeners all around the world.
There you are, folks. And yeah, we'll bring, there's Basil. So yeah, we'll put this on screen. That's where Basil, you can find him at thepulse.today. Hesher is also broadcasting as well on that network. So yeah, that's what's happening during the week. We'll get some timings and stuff like that from you guys in a moment on your broadcast programs there. But so Basil, did you get a chance to catch Kneecap?
I've actually made a superhuman effort to listen to some of their output, and to be honest, it's not really my cup of tea. The noise they make is pretty dire, but you know, I'm not the generation that they're trying to appeal to. I listened to one thing that was quite catchy, extraordinarily enough for people so dedicated to Irish nationalism. They do sound rather like they are aping African Americans, but then again, 90% of pop music these days is Mobo, as it's called, music of black origin these days. So that's just simply the way the street has evolved over the last 20 years. But all that is very much secondary to the, you know, hugely principled stance that they took, you know, blasting the words F-U-C-K, Israel, Free Palestine up at Coachella, which has produced an absolute firestorm of reaction. Sharon Osbourne, the wife of Ozzy Osbourne, lead singer of Black Sabbath, she was the one that's been amplified most. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, who cares what she thinks? You know, she's called for their visas to be revoked. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. They've had one or two concerts cancelled as a result, but they really could not care less. They are fierce Irish nationalists, a cause traditionally associated with the Catholic community in Ireland. And as such, they see the Israeli occupation of Palestine as very much akin to the 1,000-year occupation of the island of Ireland by the British. You know, not just the division with the 12 counties and the you know, Northern Ireland being a separate entity from the Republic of Ireland, but going back centuries before that, of course, the potato famine, Oliver Cromwell's genocidal campaign in Ireland. It goes even back further to than that, to Edward III and what have you. So, you know, very understandably, they see direct parallels between the oppression of the indigenous Palestinian people by invaders who see themselves as superior, and what's going on in Palestine. And it's very refreshing that they've had the strength of mind and purpose to stand up for it. I heard their manager on the radio in Ireland last week, and he was extremely forthright. What we should be asking ourselves is why more musicians and celebrities are not saying and doing exactly the same thing. You know, a lot of people are frankly bewildered at the media complicity, the silence, the cowardly silence of so many so-called celebrities when a Holocaust is being perpetrated in front of our eyes. We've had some of the worst images to come out of Gaza since the slaughter began over the last few days. I saw a little girl chopped in half by a shell, and her little brother, can't be more than 3 years old, you know, wailing in anguish on the roof of a damaged building. No food has entered Gaza for 54 days. A deliberate policy of starvation, which is a war crime. So, you know, why aren't Israeli ambassadors being sent home all around the world? Why are the United? Well, we know the United States is a wholly owned subsidiary of Israel these days.
Why Basil? Why hasn't Israel been kicked out of FIFA or UEFA?
Exactly. I mean, that's a relatively minor thing, but you're right. 3 countries have now stood up: Iceland, Slovenia, and Spain, and said they should be kicked out of the Eurovision Song Contest. I mean, one could argue that Israel isn't in Europe to begin with, you know. But this is all part of. Go on.
That's the least you could do. Just kick him out.
I mean, you know, I mean, that's so pathetic, so milk toast. It's unbelievable. So, you know, this is an absolutely extraordinary situation where mass starvation and a famine has been deliberately engineered by an occupying power endorsed by morons like Mike Huckabee, he should be arrested for war crimes. Meanwhile, the gangster state has been piling on pressure on the ICC and the ICJ to delay their investigations. I mean, the level of barbarism that we're witnessing, it far surpasses anything any of us have witnessed in our lifetimes. And frankly, it should be the only item on the television news. It should be the only item in every front page of every newspaper. But as soon as Russia do anything into Ukraine, of course, that is splashed all over the front pages, and widespread condemnation from all the usual popinjays in Britain. That means Keir Starmer and David Lammy and all the rest of it. And when Israel kills 3 or 4 times as many people, and goodness knows how many are starving to death each day or being severely damaged, internal organs damaged by severe malnutrition, we do not hear a single peep. And, it's beyond disgraceful. It's obscene. The only upside, I suppose, is that, more and more people are becoming aware of the depth of the evil that we're dealing with. And we shouldn't mince our words, because what's happening to the people of Gaza is unbridled evil. And it must be called out as such in the strongest possible terms. There's no sort of both siding it and talking about conflict or hostages or something. There have been hundreds, thousands of hostage situations in the past, but they don't involve massacring thousands of innocent children and starving an entire population. So, Israel takes a maximalist stance towards Palestinians these days. It's often very vocally amplified on Israeli television that they want to exterminate all of them. They're quite open about it. It's a question of they do it quickly, they do it slowly, do they kill them all, do they kill most of them and expel the rest? There's only really the details to be worked out in the psychotic minds of the average Israeli politician or pundit. But we don't see this reported in Western media. And where we do, of course, it's either played down or endorsed in some way by, as I say, by people like Mike Huckabee. So we're in it's not a brave new world. It's an absolutely hellish new world that we're in. And, Peter Ford is standing for the Workers' Party of Britain on a, anti-genocide ticket in the local elections. Well, he's actually standing in the by-election in Runcorn on Thursday. He's tweeted today that people should go and have a couple of pounds on him at 33 to 1. He thinks he can win the seat. There are no local polls have come out, but the received wisdom is that Reform will win the seat and that they will in fact get the most votes and very probably the most seats in the local elections taking place in councils up and down the country also on Thursday week. And if that is the case, then that will be the first time that any party other than Labour or Conservative have won any kind of nationally based election in Britain since the Liberal Party well over 100 years ago.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, Peter Ford, great guy, contributor at 21st Century Wire, frequent guest as well. Amazing former British ambassador to Syria and Bahrain, standing for...
there's more on this, Patrick. He's come in for, sorry to interrupt, he's come in for a lot of criticism over the last few days for posting a meme that sums up his position in 2 simple phrases, slogans. They are stop the war, stop the boats. Tough on immigration and tough on the causes of immigration. And of course, this has prompted a lot on the left, the likes of Owen Jones, to heavily criticize him and indeed the Workers' Party as a whole for wanting to stop the boats, as well as stopping the war in the Middle East, stopping the war in Ukraine, stopping the war everywhere. In fact, there's a big billboard in Runcorn, Workers' Party billboard saying Britain wastes £12,000 a minute, I think it is, on weapons. So, the Workers' Party is far and away the most avowedly anti-war party, but it also does not embrace open borders. So Owen Jones said, vote for Peter Ford if you like, but don't kid yourself that they're left-wing. To which Peter Ford has replied, we never said we were left-wing, we're socialist. and that's a very different matter. So the divisions there on what one might consider the traditional left. It'd be very interesting to see which way the Corbynites and disillusioned Labour voters go, whether they support Peter or vote for one of the independent candidates, or indeed reform. Very few, I hope and believe, will stick with Labour. I think Labour are in for their worst set of results in a long time, and they thoroughly deserve to be absolutely trounced, because obviously on so many levels the performance since July has been abysmal at best.
Well, you mentioned the current Labour leader and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who, of course, was at the funeral of Pope Francis in Rome, that bizarre conclave that sort of unfolded there. And so there's so much, I mean, this performative, these camp videos. I mean, I'm expecting a Christmas card with, I'm expecting a Christmas card with, oh, we've got some feedback from I'm getting feedback. I'm not sure who's
I'm on mute. Should be me.
Are you guys using headphones?
I'm not, but I'm on mute, so it wasn't me.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of annoying, actually. We'll have to see if we can sort that out. Technical issue. Anyway, back to Keir Starmer. Here we go. He's in Rome, and he has basically put out this gushing video with Zelensky. We'll have a listen to this. I mean, just it's unbelievable. I mean, this part is really weird, guys. It's like his wife, he's standing, it's kind of, he's trying to make him look like the alpha male. Do you know what I mean? Like this scene here. It's just, why would you put that in the edit? Is she dusting something off his lapel? It's kind of weird. So anyway, all these performative videos, everybody's doing this. It's just like, this is politics now. It's really getting old quick. But yeah,
it feels so disingenuous, you know, when they put the tense low budget movie music under it, and it's just all, you know, PR shots. It almost feels like we're being set up for like a fake history or something like that. Like if something were to go terribly wrong and there's gonna be wars or whatever. Like these are the type of videos, the only type of videos that will remain after the information purge about what led up to the war. You know, it's like, why else would you collect this as in particular, these Zelensky videos like this? It's all about the visuals and the emotions. There's no information there. There's no data there. What you're taking away from this, what you're, you know, if you're psyoped, and what you're supposed to take away from videos like this are basically, you know, tense emotional times, and you know, this embroiled, embattled, you know, leader of the democracy in Ukraine, haha, lol, with all the big names, you know, that are supposed to come out on top in the end here. You know, it just feels like you can almost see this stuff with the audio stripped off when the world is in tatters, or Europe is in tatters, or something like that. And you know, AI voices being added to provide fake context for the fake history that they're going to write in the wake of all this fake stuff that they've drummed up, to the tune of, you know, deaths of, you know, hundreds of millions of people, all told.
Yeah, it's nauseating.
Yeah, I mean, this is really creepy. This is sort of like. It looks like the opening scenes to a porn film that the two of them are going to get off with each other in a minute. You know, we're going to see. Do you know what I mean? It's really.
Not really. That's not what I had in mind, Basil. But we'll run with that. Okay.
No, I mean it. I think it's sort of a bromance on steroids. It's really peculiar stuff. But remember that this is all from the United Kingdom National Security State, seeking once again, we had this ludicrous 100-year pact with Ukraine. And of course, the assassination a few days ago of the Russian general. They've got arrested somebody by that now, General Yaroslav Moskalik, and Kit Clarenberg, who's usually on the money with these things, reckons that it was a British wet job, that one. Well, we don't know much about the suspect at the moment. A word that he was paid by Ukraine. We don't know if the British paid the Ukrainians to do it, you know. But that's what this is all part of. I mean, Ukraine has lost the war, and Trump, of course, sat down with Zelensky in that picture in a very grand surroundings somewhere in the Vatican, weren't they? A marble hall. There's an entertaining meme of that has appeared where Zelensky's face has been photoshopped on a baby in a carry cot that Trump is addressing. You know, I don't know if you've seen that.
It did a school principal kind of vibe to the whole thing. It's not a good.
Yes, I mean, it's to be hoped that that was Trump saying, "Look, pal, you better take the deal that's on offer right now, otherwise you're going to lose even worse. This is as good as it gets," you know. But we don't know.
With Trump, you listen. With Trump, Zelensky could have talked him out of it and to take his side and saying Putin's abusing us. You can't let Putin get away with this. Trump just flip flops like weekly, daily on all these issues. I can't keep up with this guy. He could be somewhere completely on the other side of the room by Monday and then flip back by like Tuesday, and then again like by the next morning. I mean, this is the problem with Trump, is the consistency. It's all over the place. And I think what happens, they just continually fumble as a result, because this is what happens in diplomacy. You need to have like really strong continuity to get things done diplomatically with other countries. So, and again, I will say I'm shocked and appalled by if we mention Laurel Canyon and there's just too many references to LSD and drugs. And Jerry Garcia got his LSD from the CIA for distribution as an asset. Fact, yes. And Timothy Leary sold acid for the FBI. We know about these things, but our listeners are very into this topic for some reason. I don't know why. I can't imagine. But anyway, it has stirred the comment threads in there. Paul, this one takes the biscuit, as they say in Britain. Rupert Fellows, I thank the CIA for LSD years. That wins the award. Hands down.
I got to agree with Rupert there. Man, there was still some Timothy Leary LSD floating around in San Francisco in the early 90s when me and my friends used to hang out there. It took a bit of work to find it, but it was out there, and those were some great times. So that's the one thing I can think of to thank the CIA for, even though ultimately the cultural engineering attached to it ended up being, you know, degenerating and ultimately kind of a bad thing. But I mean, they really one-upped themselves when they took over the rap industry and brought crack cocaine. So, you know, we can look back on the Laurel Canyon CIA, Jerry Garcia days as like something we could at least enjoy. You know, we got some good music out of it. Say what you will about the Crowleyan MI5 and CIA producers and, you know, what they did to the Beatles and you know, whatever hand they had in the Laurel Canyon. But we got some good tunes, some good shows, some good acid trips, and some bad acid trips out of it. So thanks, CIA. That was
Sergeant Peppers. We got Sergeant Peppers out of it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of good stuff. This is from the Manosphere here. Just a Maverick giving away his gender. The day guys can't comment on women's looks is the day I want off the ride. Whoa. Okay. Right. Message received. Thank you, Just a Maverick. We got you, mate. We got
some support there.
We must know. Just a Maverick. Let us know. What's a woman?
We must have a subreddit or Red Pill subreddit group down there somewhere in the basement of the comment threads. Yeah. Here we go. Bat soup. You damn right. You're damn right. It's all bat soup. It's all bat soup. Wuhan bat soup. The wet market. That's where you will find the most exquisite delicacies. Bat soup. This one's for this one could be for Basil here. Basil, what do you think? Sharon has continued to keep herself in the public eye. She's fair game. Do you think she's fair game?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, if she comes out with comments like that, then, she deserves everything she gets. She's the daughter of their former manager. I don't know if you knew that.
Of Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah. Really, really tough guy.
Yeah, she took over from him like early on in Ozzy's career. I'm not sure if it was before he left or was kicked out of Black Sabbath or right after, but yeah, she definitely comes from a family that is involved in the industry and all that stuff. There was a great comment.
Don Arden.
Yes,
was his professional name.
Right. There was a comment earlier. I can't remember who said it, but shout out to them. They said it looked like that Zelensky clip looked like Eyes Wide Shut Part 2. Like all we were missing were the Venetian masks, and I think we'd be right where Basil said we were.
Yeah, well spotted. Well spotted.
How about this? Sharon equals Yoko. Sharon equals Yoko. That's harsh. That's hard. Todd should get a heat for that. That makes what we said sound absolutely like powder puff football.
Well, she accused Kneecap of being aggressive. They replied, well, words aren't aggressive, but dropping bombs is. So it's a slam dunk for Kneecap as to the morality and of the whole thing. And I think Osbourne is humiliating herself. Really, she's not doing herself any favors at all.
At least she never grabbed the microphone during a song, though. I will give her that.
Yeah.
Just a Maverick weighing in again. He says, I feel sorry for them. They feel so insecure that you feel the need to alter your physical appearance to give yourself worth. That's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. A lot, Basil, before you came on, some of the listeners were pushing back on us because we commented on, Sharon Osbourne's picture, which is in the media, which is quite striking. I guess that's a better way you could describe it. I don't know, but she's got that Hollywood look, that sort of under the knife type look. That so
yes,
many
which
of
to me resembles some sort of tribal death's head. It looks to me it's a look that's sort of closer to the kind of hideous totem used to scare your enemies.
Yes, and that's a hell of a chin. That is a hell of a chin, folks. Yeah, I mean,
of course, the Ozzy's bands are littered with guitarists and bass players and keyboard players who claim that they didn't receive all the royalties they should have done for co-writing the songs on Ozzy's records. I can see you nodding about that one, Hesher.
Bill Burr. Any Bill Burr fans out there? There's probably quite a few. I like Bill Burr. I think he's good, actually. Like, he's actually funny. What do you guys think?
I just want to highlight as well a comment from Sem, I think it is in Turkey, who says, show us some sympathy for Turkey. They're absolutely whatted over there. A lot of noise has come out of Erdogan, hasn't he, about stopping the Gaza genocide and
a lot of noise,
threatening to invade, threatening all sorts of things.
No action.
In fact, as our friend Dr. Frank Romano will attest, Erdogan, under pressure, obviously from America and Israel, has continued to block the Gaza aid flotilla, which has now been sitting in port in Istanbul for a year with thousands of tons of aid and medicine and water waiting to set sail, and Erdogan won't let them leave port.
Figures.
Yeah.
All talk. Yeah, no action. Bill Burr did some great gags on plastic surgery among the Hollywood elites. So, like, he's on it. So, like, that's fair game, folks. Sorry. Yeah. Here we go. The hatred for humanity expresses itself in the surgery they get, a deep anti-human streak in the deluded breakaway civilization. So a little transhumanist theme that Kurt Lazarus is trying to inject, no pun intended, inject into that Botox.
Lex has hit the nail on the head. He says Sharon Osbourne looks like Lady Penelope's trans cousin. That's Lady Penelope from Thunderbirds, of course. And
that's rough. That is rough. You guys, I don't know. We might need to start censoring some of these comments. That is cruel.
Now,
and
have you discussed Virginia Giuffre's suicide?
No, we haven't. We haven't. And yeah, I mean, gosh. Oh, this is a good comment here. This is from Jacqueline Vanderveen. That's a good Dutch name. She says, Sharon looks very ugly in trying to destroy Kneecap. Bad publicity is also good publicity. So I agree. Jacqueline's got it spot on. The real ugliness is in punching downwards, trying to destroy free speech and what these boys are trying to do, save lives in Gaza. So yes, Jacqueline, spot on. You should be writing our editorial lines to keep us out of trouble.
Sharon should remember this too, because Ozzy was sued during the Satanic Panic of the 80s, you know, along with a bunch of other people. He was targeted by the PMRC, and you know, he's actually, and you know, she by extension as his business manager have suffered through political censorship and lies, you know, and character assassination, and been accused of causing people to kill themselves. So, you know, I guess, you know, maybe that's too far in the rearview mirror for her to remember what that's like when you're an up and coming artist, to have your, you know, your brand character assassinated and told, you know, that you're this or you're that, when you aren't this or that. You know, Ozzy was called a Satanist and someone that wanted to see people kill themselves, you know, wanted to see, Judas Priest was accused of this, Twisted Sister was accused of this. And there's a very famous hearing on Capitol Hill where Dee Snider, you know, someone who now a lot of these people, you know, it's like they had the edge at one point, and they understood what freedom of speech really meant and how important it was. And now here's those same people. You know, you could say the same about so many artists. Look at the Dead Kennedys. Look at Rage Against the Machine. I could go on and on and on, who have now flipped sides. And they're into censorship. They're into identity politics. They support wars that the media tells them to support, you know, with not much, you know, geopolitical current knowledge.
U.S. Navy vet weighing in here. Hang on. Here's some feedback. Nothing wrong with people in Israel. It's their government. Well, you better double check that, my friend, because they all back the genocide. Woo, yeah.
Well, 95% of them.
Yeah, Basil's smiling because he knows that's
95% of them.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. This is an interesting comment.
But were they born that way, or is that the result of a government-led propaganda campaign? Just
yeah, from cradle to cradle, the propaganda begins very young. If you see the Israelism, that documentary, it's pretty shocking. And that just gives you a little taste of. America is a very propagandized society, but Israel's like probably America 5x.
Oh, off the charts by comparison. Absolutely off the charts by comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dark Commission says, amazing how Republican Irish committed terrorism against British rule only to go subservient to the EU. Well, this is an opinion. It's a different type of subservience to the EU, of course. But I don't want to get into the EU argument. Small states tend to, in a funny way, benefit more than some of the larger European states from membership. The larger states tend to subsidize other states. So Ireland, in some ways, has been able to punch above its weight politically and economically by being a part of the union, like Cyprus and other countries. But they do get pounded during a banking crisis, like Cyprus did. As well. Anyway, I don't want to get into that too deep in the
I just want to mention quickly, Chicago Brew says he hasn't heard me on air for a while. I'm on at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning on UK time, which is very early in the morning, 5 a.m. on the East Coast, I agree. On the Pulse today, that's live in vision like this. And you can reach me via X again, because I run the Pulse outreach account. I'm just going to give you the URL for that very quickly. Bear with me. Here we are. I am at the Pulse today. It's the Pulse.today, today's news talk outreach with a blue tick. And it's at the Pulse today, all one word. And you can send me a message there if you follow me, or if you want to comment on something I posted. I see the comment, then I'll follow you back, and we can message each other. So I'm not sure who Chicago Brew is, but I'd be glad to come on your show.
Yeah. Someone say it's a shame that you're not on X, Basil, but Basil
I've got
decided
that account,
he attacked Elon Levy, who is Israel's public relations spokesperson. So he did go down kind of gloriously as a martyr, taking on the beast. Elon Levy is a nasty piece of work. Basil unfortunately got a ban. But have you appealed that? I'm hoping we can get you.
I have, but I haven't appealed it for over a year, so I'm going to appeal it again. And I've been storing up examples of other tweets that haven't got people banned, that are undoubtedly worse, or than what I did, which was simply to say that I thought the perpetrators of the Gaza Holocaust should face the same consequences as the Nazis at the end of the Second World War. Some of whom, of course, were hanged. So Levy took that as a personal threat, that I wanted to hang him. And you're not allowed to make personal threats on X. So that's why I was banned. But I've been storing up other homicidal far more homicides. I was simply calling for international law to take its course. But other people have
bad word. That's a swear word in this conversation. International law? Are you kidding? Like, wow, that's pretty edgy.
That's right. So other people have made all sorts of genocidal and homicidal statements, including one. I think we talked about it in midweek, Patrick, about some American patriot dude saying, "I don't care how many kids it takes to stop Hamas," and all this stuff. So
I don't. Kill them if it takes a million.
Kill them all.
Kill all. Yeah. So here's the Israel subject, folks, has fired up the comment section. I guess it's the combination of Kneecap, the music, the drugs of Laura Canyon, and Netanyahu. Israel is on its 76th year of existence, and its shelf life is about to expire in another 4 years, as predicted by Henry Kissinger. Did Kissinger actually predict this? To anybody's knowledge, did he give an expiration date on the state of Israel? Because pretty smart guy.
Yes, he did on one occasion. Yeah, and it would not too far in the future now. I think by about 2030, he said it. Would have had it.
Well, Moses kind of. Yeah. What was that, Ruckus?
Interesting year, 2030. Huh?
2030. Yeah, a lot of stuff's supposed to happen on 2030. Elon promises that there'll be cities on Mars by then, and you'll all be able to afford to go, according to.
That's right.
Elon. So,
will there be any non-smart cities left in the United States, though?
By then, yeah, there'll be some smart.
Will there be any smart people left in the United States by then?
No.
No, that'll be no. Yeah. Anyway, it's all Tanya Harding's fault, says Amanda again. Ruckus gift that keeps on giving. Yes, ugly Tesla cities, apparently. Plenty of those. That's actually scary, actually, Tesla cities. There are isn't he planning a Tesla city in Austin or something? Or
I saw something which might be attached to that. They're little those small homes. There was this craze for a while where people are living in small one-size roomed homes. They're making these Tesla pods. I mean they look like fancy pods from Idiocracy, except it's your whole abode. It's like a trailer pod, but it's all fancy, and you can attach it to your Tesla truck and drag it and go live wherever you want. You live in a parking lot inside this thing, and you can connect the multiple pods together and build your own pod community. Yeah, so they're heading that way.
Yeah, like a WTF, a band named Rage Against the Machine is even doing at the MTV Awards. GTFO.
Yeah, Bulls on Parade, another anti-war song, a famous anti-war song. How does this happen, right? Like, how do we go from, where they were to where they are? How do they square that circle that they've created here? I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that.
Here's from the BDS crowd here, Basil. Here, I refuse to wear Levi's jeans. That's Rupert Fellows. So this is BDS. And here we go. Zach, international law. That's anti-Semitic. Bingo. You got it.
How
See how
dare you?
smart we have a smart audience. I have to say, it's impressive. ACR full stop has a very smart audience. Much smarter than Joe Rogan's audience. Smaller but smarter. I'll take the smart audience any day of the week than the big audience. Yeah, we could go into some of this other the weeds on this stuff like that. Anyway, we're probably gonna. Here we go. I have to put this up. Putin's shirt, always a fountain of wisdom. Israel is a petri dish of indoctrination. Israel was also a petri dish of mRNA injections. True. Almost all stats came out of Israel. All the stats. Yeah, the Pfizer had a data sharing agreement with the Israeli government. It's the only state they did, and it was amazing how the compliance level was incredibly high. And they said because the people, I asked somebody about this from there, and he said because they understand fascism, and it works for them. So
Their compliance level was similar to that other statistic that we were just talking about. It was above 95%.
Yep.
And what was the other country that was that way too? Oh, that's right, Italy. Italy had a high uptake rate going on, didn't they? You know what's my favorite part about Putin's shirt, that user, is in that picture, Putin is not wearing a shirt. It's great.
The irony there, it's too much. Hey guys, we want our democracy back. Everyone goes to jail here for being in opposition. Even the young kids, we need attention. What on earth are you talking about? Honestly,
now I've got one piece of very good news, or well, potentially very good news, Patrick, before we go, and that is the dreadful bouffanted witch in chief, Ursula von der Leyen, could be on her way out. Die Welt, the World, the heavyweight German newspaper, is reporting this morning that Brussels wants to see the resignation of Ursula von der Leyen. According to the newspaper, the departure of the head of the European Commission could unblock many political and economic processes. The change of power will give European politics a chance to become more diverse and open again towards the West and the East. EU politics is clearly in crisis. In the West, there is a trade dispute with the US. In the East, there is the Ukrainian conflict and an escalating dispute with Russia, as well as a protracted confrontation with China, added Die Welt. A fish rots from the head, and removing the head, the rotten head of von der Leyen, can only improve matters. So I just thought I'd throw that in there before we go. We live in hope.
That's a very big fish head. She's got a massive helmet on her head. She reminds me of Rick Moranis in Spaceballs. Pandora Chaser 2. Rage for the vaccine, more like. Yeah, you got it. They did lose it during COVID, guys. I went to one of their first gigs. It was in San Luis Obispo. They were supporting Public Enemy. This was like,
wow.
It was in 1991, and it was like Rage Against the Machine. It was like nobody heard of them. And these guys came out with the, like, I don't know, the lead singer was like half white, black guy with frizzy hair, and they were like kind of like early Chili Peppers, but more metal. And everyone's like, wow, these guys are badass. Everyone's like, Public Enemy was like good, but these guys blew everyone's mind. There was a support act. And I was like, they took off, man. And then they just became an establishment kind of toy, a tool of the establishment.
Well, the vast majority of bands have become establishment poodles of one sort or another. There's been a very deliberate, concerted program over the last 30, 40 years or more to castrate rock music and take the politics out of it. You know, the great protest era of the 60s and 70s, personified by no one more than the great John Lennon, of course, who was assassinated to silence him because he could have led genuine, global anti-war movements, as a, genuinely iconic figure and hugely popular figure from that era. So they found a Manchurian candidate to get rid of him. And gradually since then, only, bands and artists that toe the line, that can be expected to toe the line, get promoted, and the sort of dumbing down of popular music has been one of the most disappointing trends of the last 30 or 40 years. Alex Constantine wrote a book about it. It's the FBI's war on rock. But it's not just Lennon, of course. There are lots of other mysterious deaths of notable rock stars.
I like George Harrison's quote: "No matter who you vote for, the government always gets in." George Harrison.
Yeah, one of the oldest.
So this is a pretty, this is rivaling for comment of the week. Pandora Chaser 2 says, does a Tesla city also set itself on fire? Fair question. Tesla cities are going to burn up. They're going to spontaneously combust. Do you guys remember spontaneous combustion in the 80s?
Yeah.
Hesher's nodding his head.
Absolutely.
Back before we knew about directed energy weapons, I do. That was really mysterious until we found out about those.
Yeah, spontaneous combustion. It was a thing, folks, in America in this late 70s, I think. Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. It was a thing. So, yeah, look, someone had to mention Italy and fascism. Was that Ruckus? Can't remember. But Mussolini made the trains run on time, so they say. They also made very good Fiats during that period, Fiat Motors. Guys, your final comments. We're going to roll this one up this week in the Sunday Wire. It's really been fantastic engagement from the audience on this. I'll go around clockwise. Ruckus, go ahead. Your final thoughts on what's going on in the world, and also what's going on your broadcast schedule this week.
Well, I want to drop a hot potato and get everybody's take on this, because I think everybody here saw it. I don't know if Basil did or not, but our good old, I don't know what she is, Pam Bondi. Yeah. So apparently, allegedly, there was a leak of a DOJ memo from the Trump admin suggesting, proving that basically they were giving ICE, the Immigration Control Enforcement, ICE, permission to just enter people's homes without a warrant in order to search for migrants. So, wow, that's like a blatant violation of the U.S. Constitution's Fourth Amendment, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I studied all. That's a no bueno. We don't do that.
Nope.
So, yeah, you need a warrant if you're just going to enter somebody's home and snoop around. We're not the Nazis from World War II. We've all seen the scenes. We know the line. How many of you got hiding in the floorboards? They're going to do that in America now, looking for migrants. They might be part of trend. Maybe they're looking for college students who are hiding out because they said some unpopular things about Israel. You never know. But what's your take?
That's a constitutional amendment, pretty clear, like that one specifically. Is that the fourth, and not quartering British soldiers during the Revolutionary or during colonialism? I mean, where are all these conservatives coming from in the Trump administration that are anti-constitutional? This doesn't usually work for me with the conservative thing. It doesn't just tend. It tends to not.
There are
work.
folks who say, and I'm one of them, that when Trump himself was sworn in, and part of his duties is to, uphold his oath of office, he didn't put his hand on the Bible.
He didn't actually.
I mean, if you're to believe such a thing, I mean, why wouldn't you, unless you intend to not do the things that you just swore to not do or to do? I don't know. Just a suggestion.
They just had the Bible there, and they held the Bible out, but he didn't put his hand on it. It was just like someone held a book like this, and Trump had his hand up like that, or his right hand. Sorry, yeah. Is it just me, or did he just forget to do it, or Melania should have grabbed him by the wrist and slapped that hand on there, because I didn't like that. That was kind of creepy. Maybe
was the left hand behind his back with his fingers crossed? I mean, thanks for leaving us open to speculation on that one.
Yep. So, yeah, Ruckus, that's a fair point. That's certainly a fair point. I don't know if we'll see if we have any answers to that. Pan Bondi's kind of weird. She looks like the kid from Poltergeist grew up.
Here we go, judging people for their looks again. We're going to get in trouble, Patrick. This has actually been a long-running thing on the Boiler Room, and I'm not 100% sure how many times you brought this up on your own program during the medical intervention period of 2020 and 2021 and all that. These people who were giving themselves magic powers to become local dictators suddenly were adopting what we were tracking on the Boiler Room as a ghoulish countenance. And Hesher brought up that they look like ghouls. That's where that comes from, because these people all seem to be, by all appearances, appeared normal until they start acting like ghouls. They suddenly start to adopt a bit of a ghoulish countenance. And when you put yourselves out there, yeah, it's all is fair game. Yeah, if I want to say something terrible about Sharon's looks, I'm allowed to do that, because she's the one who led a life of vanity. She's the one who cares about her looks, not me. So if she's a type of person who cares about how somebody looks, and I don't, she's going to actually take offense by me, making fun of her looks. So that's all. That's why I do these things.
Marcus Toledo, writs of assistance. Thank you very much, Marcus. That was the term we were looking for. Thank you very much. See, we have a constitutional audience. We like this.
It's a legal term.
Bolshevik, Gestapo. We don't even go there. But yeah. Thank you for that, Ruckus. Good
and then,
food
of course,
for thought.
Yeah, and then thanks for having me again. And of course, please check out my work that I do over at alternatecurrentradio.com, the Daily Ruckus. Also on Mondays, I'm co-hosting Weaponized News with Sam Chaney, and I've been having a blast doing that. So that's where you'll find me when I'm not hanging out with my friends at ACR. I'm hanging out over there at Weaponized News. And then in between that, trying to get my show done, the Daily Ruckus. So check it out, alternatecurrentradio.com.
That's right. Live Ruckus Vision coming to you live and direct there on Alternate Current Radio. It's a great work of art. Ruckus's podcasts are visually extremely interesting, and the content, of course, is brilliant. Thank you, Adam Clark, a.k.a. Ruckus, and continuing clockwise around the horn, Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher. Your final thoughts, comments, observations of the world, and what's happening on your schedule this week?
All right. Well, with what Ruckus brought up there, I have a hard time even framing that one in a particular administration's policies, because what that ultimately is it's a downstream outcome of the Patriot Act, of the NDAA, of other things that have been set up unconstitutionally in this country in the name of combating terrorism. And terrorism is a fungible term, a word that gets applied to different people at different times in and outside of our own country, with the in-country part being, again, highly unconstitutional. So it's a perfect example of what happens when you institute something like that as a problem, reaction, solution sort of, Hegelian paradigm. 20 years down the road, 25 years down the road, you'll see both political parties wielding, holding that over everybody's head, this Damocles over everybody's heads, where you don't know who the terrorist is going to be next week or next year. It could be you, and you could have been cheerleading these very same sorts of unconstitutional policies because it was your team that was benefiting from them in the power politics realm. So, ultimately this goes back to tyrannical, authoritarian policies that are unconstitutional, illegal in the framework of our Constitution and this country. So, it's to be expected. So, we went from ICE being the victim, right, under so this is the mainstream optic for conservatives. ICE was the victim under Biden. They just couldn't do anything because Mayorkas was their boss, and that was their policies, and we got to fix this, we got to fix this. Talk about an engineered crisis. Open the border, kneecap, pun intended, ICE, and make ICE the sort of the underdog, and make them appear as a conservative sort of thing, a conservative force, but they're not. They're a force. And yes, they were kneecapped under Biden. And yes, we allowed 20 plus million people to come into this country with human trafficking victims and all the drugs they wanted. And we were able to, highly politicize that and radicalize, a lot of mainstream conservative viewers over that, so that they cheer when this sort of authoritarianism is applied, because it has been grafted into a identity politic talking point, and no conversation given to the constitutionality of it all, no conversation going back to the origin of it all, which was the Patriot Act, which was 9/11. So this is just a perfect example. You're going to see mainstream conservatives now cheering for ICE going into people's homes without a warrant. And I find it very interesting that right before this was announced, there was a piece of outrage prawn, if you will. Former Donna Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife were taken into custody last week after federal agents raided their home. And the charges, well, they're harboring people who are believed to be Tren de Aragua gang members. So you've got your little political hit and headline that goes out right before this, and it comes on the heels of Kristi Noem and her ridiculous PR that we talked about last time we were on air together. So you can just see the way the chess pieces are all set up to the point where, you get a story like this, you get mainstream conservatives and, Fox News readers going, oh, these terrible lefties are harboring, MS-13s and Tren de Araguas, and maybe they are. Like, that's sort of beside the point. What the message is, what the narrative is that this is a right versus left problem, and that we should always support the right in it, even if they're going to send ICE agents into, your home. We can all cheerlead because they're going into some, liberal's home, right? A liberal politician that conservatives don't like, so you see a headline like that. You're a big Kristi Noem fan all of a sudden. Now you're a big ICE fan. I mean, you can see where this all heads.
Real ID and all this. So yeah, if they're wearing red hats, it's all good. We cheer that Gestapo support. And again, our audience isn't far behind us on this thinking. In fact, they're ahead of us. People were talking Nazis, and I just said it was more Bolsheviks. Spot on, because these are Leninist tactics. And this is why Basil and I had a great discussion about the woke right, among other things, on the midweek wire. And the woke right is the weaponization of identity politics to cancel, using the power of the state to cancel and even deport, okay, on the basis of, quote, the ever fungible, arbitrary anti-Semitism smear. Okay, that is woke Leninist hardcore Bolshevik tactics by the right. Okay, so look at the methods. In other words, play the ball, not the man, as they say in basketball. So yeah, you're spot on. It's not about right or left. It's about up and down. It's about power, the abuse of power, and unconstitutional stuff being done by the Trump administration. It's no better, in fact, in some ways worse than what Biden was doing. And it's about power, folks. It's about power. So that's why we have a constitution. It's supposed to protect and defend it, not protect and defend the government, protect and defend the Constitution. Simple. Our founding fathers laid out a very good system, but successive governments just don't like to follow it for some reason. I wonder why that is. That's kind of the problem. That's okay. Look, and again, we disavow a lot of the comments that are coming in regarding some of the characters that we were talking about before. So the full disavow, blanket disavow on everything here. Yeah, there was a good documentary about Palantir surveillance involved in the ICE raids. Hello, pre-crime? Anybody? Minority Report? Science fiction? Philip K. Dick?
There's a new British initiative that's they're billing at. We talked about this on the Pulse last week or a week before. They're billing it as a system to. Initially, they called it something very Minority Report-ish, like predicting crime or something like that. But now they've rebranded it, and they're putting tons of money into it. It's Palantir based, and they're selling it. They're billing it as a program that will help predict when people that are on parole might commit a crime. So, much like Neuralink or other things, they sell it to us as something with a very specific and somewhat acceptable goal. But it's this giant can of worms that ends up, with the flick of a switch being able to be applied to anyone and everyone.
Yep. And again, we continue to disavow a lot of the comments that are being made. Again, we're not promoting any of these. And we're not going to draw any attention to them either, quite frankly, because it's just not worth it, really. But we appreciate the feedback, though, and we are a free speech, pro-free speech platform. So, again, we're not going to censor it.
Yeah, I like that comment from Rupert Fellows. Sharon Osbourne has a look at Picasso's Cubist there. Very astute.
It's very astute, also quite flattering, it's quite flattering. So, again, Rupert Fellows is outdoing himself. Again,
he's on the money, as is Putin's shirt.
And Putin's shirt, yeah. So there we are. That's it. Yeah, Picasso's Cubist era. Very refined, nuanced, and cultured comment. It just shows you the depth of our audience, Basil. The sophistication, the depth, and the level of culture that permeates our listenership and viewership. So I really appreciate it.
I'm being asked to comment on the murder of the lady that had sex with Prince Andrew, Virginia Roberts, née Guifrey. Well,
is she ruled a suicide?
Well, initially, that's what the newspaper reports are, that she committed suicide. She has been the recipient of some pretty terrible abuse by the father of her children. She's got 3 teenage children, or did have, I should say. Very sad. And he was apparently violent, her husband, Mr. Roberts. I don't know the details. And we don't know whether, it was actually suicide or she was bumped off. Certainly very convenient, because I think she had more to say. I don't think she'd finished yet. Coincidentally, Prince Andrew appeared in public alongside the King for the first time in a long while at Easter. He was there for the royal family's trip to the church in Sandringham in Norfolk. So it's just a coincidence, Patrick, that she died a few days after what appears to be the start, perhaps, of a rehabilitation for Prince Andrew.
That's interesting.
And a personal tragedy for her children, obviously, and we just we don't know. I don't have any evidence. Ryan Dawson is really pushing the suicide angle, apparently.
He's not. No, hold on. I'm going to correct you. He's not. That comment's incorrect. Ryan Dawson's saying the opposite. Dawson is saying that it's not suicide. So the commenter in that case...
she's supposed to have made statements saying that she was not suicidal. Under no circumstances would she commit suicide. Of course, we had this bizarre business of her being involved in a car crash only a couple of weeks ago. And at that point, at one point, there were reports coming out saying she only had 4 days to live, but then that was all deemed completely erroneous. That was all, although she'd been in an accident, the 4 days to live thing, that was 100% fake news. And yet now here we are a few days after that and she's dead. So it's very, very fishy,
Yeah. No, a debate has broken out in the comment threads now between our audience members there. So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of skepticism, but a lot of people just after the Epstein thing in prison, it's obviously a lot of people are going to be leaning towards conspiracy on this. Perfectly understandable. Who wouldn't, in this case? So especially being
last point I want to make, Patrick, is about the Pope, of course, whose funeral it was yesterday. And apart from so-called world leaders, both Starmer and Zelensky are completely illegitimate in my book. 1 in 7 adults in Britain voted for Starmer, and Zelensky's cancelled all the elections. So we've got these clowns enacting this soft porn bromance, or, in UK national security state propaganda film. And the whole thing's completely illegitimate. But I wanted to say about the Pope, of course, he was a fierce defender of Palestinian human rights. He rang the Catholic Church in Gaza every day, apparently, to offer his solidarity and support. He described Israel's activities as cruel. It remains to be seen whether the new Pope is as steadfast in his defense of the beleaguered people of Palestine, or whether or not we get somebody who is, more pliable to the Zionist and globalist agenda. That remains to be seen. We don't know who they're going to elect. I mean, they'll be doing very well to elect somebody who, on that issue at least, is as sound as the Pope was. And worth mentioning, of course, that the Israelis did not send a government official and deleted their tweet of condolence. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. That was bizarre.
That's really, yeah.
They got a problem with the Christians there in Tel Aviv, apparently. Yeah, they don't like the pilgrims either for some
Justin
reason.
Maverick says the Pope is irrelevant. He is largely irrelevant. I agree. He is largely irrelevant. But there are still hundreds of millions of Catholics around the world who are influenced by his opinion. So, he does still have a pulpit and an audience. I agree. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israelis, couldn't give a tinker's cuss what he says or does, and nor for that matter really could Keir Starmer or NATO or Donald Trump or anyone. They all like to go along and, fold their hands and, pretend that they're all such pious people, but actually they don't really have any respect for the office. But a lot of Catholics still do.
Yes, they do. They do. Mixed reviews from the Catholic community. There's a very much a plurality of opinions now, especially with the trad Catholics making their presence known.
Hesher, and Nora Jason too says, "Was the Pope's stance over Gaza a motive to whack him?" Well, he did die only a few hours after meeting Vice President Vance, but that's just a coincidence.
Could be like the
in
the hand. Remember that
anything
film?
Other than that is a conspiracy theory. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Vatican's a creepy place, guys. Anything's possible. Hesher, Boiler Room. What's happening this week before we go?
Well, we pushed last week's episode, and hopefully it'll happen this week. I've got some personal business to attend to early in the week, so we'll see how that all goes. But the plan is to have a Boiler Room on Thursday night. And I'll also be broadcasting at the Pulse on Pulse Radio 2, which the link for seems to be moving around the website. It's no longer where it's shown in that view. Now it's kind of in the hamburger menu. So find me there broadcasting live from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully Wednesday through Friday this week coming up, but normally Monday through Friday. So find me over there, thepulse.today. Support us over there. We need that. Support us at Alternate Current Radio and 21stCenturyWire.com. And I'll look forward to seeing everybody for the next Boiler Room and over there at the Pulse. Thanks for having me. And one quick point of clarification. Our viewer, Sem over there, who made the comment you weren't sure about earlier, Patrick. He says, Patrick, I was talking about the arrest of Istanbul's mayor, which is something I covered on the Pulse a couple of weeks ago. I found that story to be very interesting. It seems kind of like there's a bit of a soft coup going on against a very popular leader, mayor of Istanbul. I don't have his name to hand, and I always butcher it when I try to say it, so sorry about that, Sam. But yes, we've noticed what's going on over there. There seems to be a big round of arrests, and this guy being shut down and told that because of some administrative or definitional thing about his educational background, that he's ineligible to run and that he's corrupt, and that 100 of his top supporters or more have been arrested. So I just wanted to, Sam asked for a shout out there. So I think that, that story, I'm still working to understand it. It's not my greatest region of understanding, but I'm finding it very interesting. And I see some very similar trends happening there as it relates to, shaping the grand chessboard up for that 2030 mark. Yeah,
lots of shenanigans in the Ottoman Empire, as Putin's shirt has commented there. Yeah, that's a lot of opposition leaders getting locked up in France as well. They went for Le Pen, so I think she's free now. It's probably going to help her election chances as well. And so yeah, and they tried to lock Trump up. They've certainly tried the lawfare there. So that's just a general theme that's happening. If you can't defeat your opposition, throw them in jail. This is the democracy that we're fighting so hard to promote around the world at the barrel of a gun. Our great European and Western values, our democracy. Right. Okay. So thank you for that, Hesher, and for that clarification as well. And Mr. Basil Valentine, again, we've got you up at the Pulse there, and appreciate
tomorrow, 10 a.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Central European time. I will be there.
Basil is the political editor at the Pulse.today as well, alongside Hesher as well on that network. So again, great content there, folks. So again, it's just more on offer there for everybody in the independent media sphere. We are alive and well and thriving with a lot of great commentary. Thank all you guys as well for joining us for the Sunday Wire this week. It's been an amazing and a bit of a wild conversation, but things are a little bit wild out there. I think you guys, like me, are having trouble keeping up with the feed. It's just too much, really. We're going to have to clone ourselves with AI agents just to survive the tsunami of information that's coming. X is not usable anymore. Literally, I scroll. I can't even get a space. I scroll on my For You thing, and it fills up with about 30 or 50 messages every few seconds.
Yeah,
So,
the doom scroll on X is insane, man. Like I go so fast that I mostly just bookmark stuff that I speed read, and then I always feel like I'm going to go back and I'm going to, read these in detail and follow all the links. But when I go back to do it, I just have to, high speed doom scroll again, bookmark the ones I might need, and it's just this ongoing. It's very fatiguing, actually.
Not just doom scroll. There's health stuff coming in, good quality health and diet stuff. Like, it's not just doom. There's positive things coming in. So those long threads. So it's just, oh man. Anyway,
yeah.
I don't know how we're going to manage this. I really don't know. So maybe the Ruckus, the what's it called? The Neuralink. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do. Oh, we just bring that. This is the Elon's new Neuralink. Does it look familiar? Anyone seen that one before?
Yeah, coming out of the pod, right? Is that a Tesla pod he's coming out of?
You got it. You got it. A self-combusting Tesla. Anyway, thank you guys. All the best. Brilliant. Thank you, Basil, Hesher, and Ruckus. That's all we got time for, folks. And again, thank you for joining us for this weekly omnibus news analysis radio program. This episode 545 of the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. And again, you can catch us here every Sunday on all of these platforms. We are live streaming right now on a number of platforms, including BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, as well as X. So there's a lot of different ways you can reach us. So again, we appreciate your listenership, and we hope to see you very soon on our midweek wire, which will be coming up probably on Wednesday as well. Also see you guys on the UK Column News every Friday. Doing most Fridays there for that broadcast, unless there's a holiday, of course. So yeah, great to see you there as well. And we'll do our best. We've got a new program that's going to be launched this week at 21 Wire. We're still debating the name. But it's going to be obviously a informal geopolitical conversation. That'll probably come out probably on Tuesday or Thursday, one of those 2 days, and that will be weekly as well. So that'll give us 3 weekly programs for 21 Wire Live, along with the Sunday Wire, the Midweek Wire, and this new one, which you'll see. It'll be interesting, very informal, extremely informal. You will be surprised how informal it is. And again, we can't do this without your help, without your support. And this is our winter fundraising drive that's already finished, but this is an ongoing affair to try to get your support. We need it going forward. If you like the type of analysis we're doing on a daily basis at 21stcenturywire.com. And also you like the shows, the interviews, the fact that we're hitting the biggest geopolitical stories every week, and we're doing that in audio, we're doing that on video, we're also doing that in the written form as well. We need your support going forward, and we have a very good team, and they're doing also viral videos, which you'll see those on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube Shorts and X as well, and we'll be doing more of those also going forward. Again, to make that happen, we need your help. We need your support. So please subscribe, become a member on our weekly support team, 21wire.tv. That's our membership site. We're also revamping that. You can also support us anyway. Donate. We have PayPal, credit card will work, crypto as well. We've got different facilities for different people. And so again, we really appreciate anything that we get. We'll absolutely put it to good use. You can be absolutely sure of that. And we are expanding, and we need your help to do more. So we appreciate everybody who's done that so far. So that's all we've got time for, folks. Again, thank you to our guests. It's been an absolutely amazing discussion. Bryan McClain, aka Hesher, Adam Clark, Ruckus, and also Basil Valentine from the Pulse.today joining us as well for the comments. So again, you guys are amazing. So we'll see you soon, and well, all the best. Here's some little music from a couple of our friends, Joseph Arthur and Peter Conway, two great singer-songwriters. See you next week.
Brothers and sisters, when being divided, don't believe what they say. Hold on to your soul. Everyone divided in an echo chamber hole, saying that the enemy doesn't have a soul. Listening to media, tell them what to think. Sure that they are right in their information drink. Talking and manipulation, country on the ropes. Make sure you lead with fear for the zombies and the dopes. Glued to their devices, keep them in their head. Tell them that each other wants to see the other dead. Divide them with opinion, judge them ruthlessly. Make sure you get them angry at what the others see.
supervise contact. They watch our every move. They examine our togetherness like we've got something to prove. I've looked behind your eyes. I've seen the sadness you hide. I've looked into your eyes. I've seen the tears that you've cried. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. In the legal arena, absurd theaters are staged. She moves in circles. Her cruel games cause delays. From the questions you ask me, like why can't you come home tonight? From the moment you hold me, it's the shortest hour of my life. No, I won't get used to these chains. I've got to be careful with what I say. Their conspiracy of silence, they think the truth will lead you astray. They say that they're here for you, but they never listen to what you say. They've built walls between us. I will walk through walls to break these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains. No, I won't get used to these chains.